Good afternoon. It's our Tuesday. So we use this time to rally around our community and sharing the knowledge we know with you. And a lot of times we have you coming back to us with comments on our videos, and we try to address these comments with you timely. So you probably get our replies or whatever we do. And we want to build this small business community so we actually talk to each other. You know, in business, it is actually a very lonely game. You are in business on your own, and you have competitors. I know you don't go to your competitors, ask them how much of sales is down for you, and you don't do that. So you don't have that information. But the people like us, like Community CPA, we have over 12,000 clients. I didn't really count that number recently, but I'm telling you, at one point of time, not too long ago, we counted, it was 12,000. So with this kind of community, we gather senses, right? So one economic backdrop, this big environment, this macroeconomics going this crazy way, then you kind of wondering what other people are doing, right? This is what we are going to do in this 30 minutes. We are going to tell you what we see of all of our clients are doing. Wouldn't that be great? That will give you a sense of whether you are on the right track or you are normal, not normal. Is it only one person in the White House is going crazy, or all of us are going crazy, right? So we rather just join the crazy team, figure out what is the best way to, if not winning, at least surviving. All right, let's go ahead to our chores here. And we are a Community CPA. We have a website. We want you to see our website, knowing that we always update our website. You can become our client by going into the first button on the top, which is called Onboard with Us. You literally open that link. You can register yourself. Sign up yourself and start uploading whatever you want us to see. Then we will get back to you. So that's the way for you to get in touch without have to call and find a place. You have privacy, so you can call your CPA. No, you can just do that there. Once you become our client, you have that client portal. That is where you communicate with us as well. So obviously, and you also have this appointment button right here that will lead you to meet with us online. And this is our YouTube channel. All of our webinars, after we talk, it is deposited right here. You can find it. If you don't remember the topic, but you just know that it was talked on what day and which, roughly what topic, and you can use the search, the magnifying glasses to type in the keyword, or you can look at the video list by the date, so you can find that video. And our firm, like I told you, we have 12,000 clients. We for sure have more. So with that kind of activities we have in the firm, we hope that to offer you some good guidance, so that is closer to heart, closer to your area, and you don't have to follow Wall Street Journal to figure out what you do over here, right? You got the macro economist giving projections and telling you we're still in the bull market, and now they're saying that maybe not, we are becoming a bear market. So you may not even really into these terms. What is bull and the bear? What's the difference, other than one looks cute, the other one doesn't? So those are the things. You don't have to know all of that. What you want to be is to be in your community and knows your other business owners what they're doing. And you are in the right place at the right time to hear what I will tell you. And I'm not going very far from those topics because I'm only pulling last week all of my meeting. And I pull out my meeting. I came up with 15 items that business people are doing right now. So I want to share that with you, and that become your survival tips for what you need to do right now. All right, so that's the 2 books I wrote. I am writing the 3rd one, but I have no date to know when to publish it, because I have to see Community CPA getting to that point before I can confidently give you a book saying that this is the roadmap for you to grow. I started the business, so I have confidence for the 8 a.m. I grow the business to this point, so I am confident to give you what I know about growing business. Expanding business, that's a 2 p.m. That part, I still have things to learn. And my clients are also doing the same thing. So we're learning together, expanding together. We will maybe retire together, so that way we can do the number 4 book. All right. No responsibility disclaimer, because all of these, it is about my experience, our experience, all of our collectively experience. So that experience may relate to you, may not. So you want to take responsibility for what you hear from here. All right, overview of today's economic situation. I just grabbed a printout I had just right now, and this is a market perspective published by Fisher Investment for their 401k customers. So Community CPA, we have our 401k plan with Fisher Investment. So we read their quarterly report. I want to draw your attention by what they give as a summarize. This is the first quarter. Obviously, they wrote it in the very beginning of April, and things were not the same on today's date. And, S&P 500 dropped more than 2,000 points, so it's like it's not in here. But what it says is, I want you to understand this. So they're saying that Fisher Investments still expect the bull market to run through 2025. Bull market means that the stock price continue to rise. The bear market is the stock price continue to drop. So the cute one is going down, the bull market is going up. So they're saying that 2025 is still going to be bull market. The global stock, is still expected to have a good year overall, the global stock market. Importantly, a great year, they justify the definition of great year. They say a great year isn't necessarily a calm year. Okay? Then they also say that pullbacks or even full-fledged corrections, sharp corrections that drops of 10 to 20% can happen anytime in 2025. Then they say, but volatility doesn't preclude a big returns. So folks, just by reading that first paragraph opening, that just tells us that we're not sophisticated enough that to do analysis on stock market to know what predicts what. Actually, the person who wins the stock market, a big deal, they are insider trading person. I know that's illegal by SEC rules, but what the heck? Where is the rules, right? I will just say to you that you are not insider. Our small business owners, forget about how you connected to whom and whom. It doesn't matter. You are not insiders, so you don't know when to buy in, when to sell out. And you could have bought in last week because it's dropped. And this morning, it went up by average of 5%. You could have sold it, made some money, but do you have that information to do that? You don't. But do their people have that information? Did that? Of course. This is what we call economic readjustment, redistribution of wealth in a very large scale. So their people are becoming wealthy, and Elon Musk is not worried about Tesla's stock going down. He can make money elsewhere. He can just trade one stock, making up all the losses he has. So, ladies and gentlemen, just don't kidding yourself. What you want to do is to leave your stock alone. Leave it alone. Let the market work it out. Of course, if you are just going to lose all of your monies and you can't take the anxiety anymore, you want to sell it, then the loss is sealed. But if you leave it in the stock market, maybe it will come back. If Fisher Investment is right, and it's still going to be a good year, it's just going to be a sharp decline for a short time, then you may just come through, be in the hole or even make a little money. So that is really, this is today's situation in the bigger scale, and we don't really have, you don't have a magic one, so don't pretend that you know everything. Just really be still, be less reactive. That's probably the best way to deal with today's situation. The global trade system is going through surgeries. So you don't know what global trade pattern is going to be. So you just want to follow the, monitoring your line of business. If you are importing rice from Thailand, every year for a container or so, now you are questioning what is this going to be. Maybe you're not going through Thailand anymore, you are going through some other countries. So this is trade pattern changes in the global scale. And it is definitely, triggered by the U.S. policy change, right? The majority of chief economists all over the world, and they had done a survey with these people, and these big boys, they know the economy, if economy is a free economy, so their prediction expected a intensified trade war between U.S. and other countries. They're predicting that. They're saying that just based on what we see, and there's going to be intensified trade wars between U.S. and China is being named out, but the other countries has follow suit. So the trade war is going to be broadly impacted, globally affected. So that's where we are. But being a small business owners, really, you just know that this is a life event, right? No different from you getting into a car accident. It's a life event. So this life event is going to impact you in certain ways. Not all the same. Some people are not being impacted, or some people are being impacted positively, but maybe you are the one getting it negatively. But just really watch it, right? Figure out a way that you can mitigate the risk and minimize the risk if you could. The stock decline, and that's already there. So I just, I'm really not, I used to be trading stock a lot more. I lost a lot of money with trading stock. So I kind of learned my lesson not to do this because I don't have information. I don't know what I bet on is going to win. But there are people on market, they know what they bet on to win what. They even have the final numbers out because they are insider tradings. They're there. And of course, you may say that, give me a proof, and you're wrong. You're just not having confidence in the system. Are you kidding me? I don't have proof. You know what? I have sixth sense. I have been in business for 30 some years and living in this globe, living on this earth for 60 years. Yes, you bet, I have experience. So that is what I'm saying. For our small business owners, you don't. You don't want to predict. If you have financial planner, they like to play the game. Let them do it for you. But you just want to, be less reactive. Don't just sell out when it goes down. And don't just buy when it goes up. It's not playing it that way. And all eyes on President Trump, right? And he's the genie come out of the bottle, and he can make things happen just by you making a wish. But he has to hear your wish. You're so far away from him, so there is nothing going to happen for you because you are not having the access to influence the genie. All right. Microeconomic activities. I want to bring this out to you because these are the things I have experienced for the past a week and a half. We are Tuesday today, so this is the things I have talked with clients, worked with clients, or set up a project related to that. And so interactions with our businesses for the last Monday till Tuesday, so about a week, right? 7 days. So let me just I went back to my calendar, looked at all the things we discussed, then tell you that what are the topics, what are the activities the small business owners are doing. So my number one, cost of goods sold going up and the selling price adjusted daily. So this is actually a not a large chain of grocery chain, but it's a medium-sized grocery chain. And largely, most of the grocery items are coming from Thailand and South Asia. And the cost of goods sold, which means the product they got imported in, going up so high, and it's also going up so randomly and without any notification. It's just becoming this way to them. They have to adjust their price to consumer daily. So this one subject right here, that applies to every businesses that you acquire supplies into your warehouse and you resell it out. And this really give you a thought that you have to have this very clear inventory management system. You need to mark up your inventory as soon as you have this price rising up. Then even though you have inventory in your storage, that still you can sell low. You don't want to sell low anymore. You want to start the higher price you just got from your shipment. So that is where the cost of goods sold with the daily price adjustment that comes in. And don't be shy about adjusting your daily price, because that is fundamental for you to survive. And you don't want to stay same price while getting higher supplies coming in, because you're going to be running out of business. Because this situation may not be just 6 months, maybe 4 years. So we want you to understand that this is the regular business struggle we already see, and the client coming in actually to ask what would be the best way to stay relevant. But increasing the price, they already hear client, they already hear customer complain. So our recommendation is that to develop certain channel of product, whether that can reduce cost on those products locally. See whether you can even coming in a brand new product that you never have, and then mark them, have them selling at a really attractive price, attract your community coming to your store as normal. So that is one of the things and we dealt with this last week. Supply shortage and the letting go of employees. So one of our manufacturing clients and a small manufacturing client locally, and always relying on their, of course the product just had one small piece that need to be shipped from Japan to U.S. So that supply was cut off, was short. So the delay in clear the custom and the I guess the analysis, the study about the increased tariff tax and that is going on, and so with that they didn't have that small supply. Without that piece of supply, they could not assemble anything. So the assembling line stopped. They used to run 16 hours a day. Right now is running 6 hours a day. So they have to let go of employee. Some employees are working overtime, so they make good money. Now no more overtime and only 6 hours, so it's not enough for all the employees to work. So they have to let go of employee. While we were planning and discussing about that, we talked about the unemployment benefit and how we can situate these employees to have them come back as soon as things are put back in order. So these are real microeconomic activities that we see on the bottom of the food chain. It's a real issue. Sell the business. Yeah, quite a few businesses are selling. They no longer can take the pressure. And the two that I knew we discussed last week are all service companies. Personal service. So they no longer can compete with the other businesses that open up larger outlay, so they're being squeezed out of the market. So selling the business and wanting the evaluation to be done and wanting to know how to sell so they don't create a capital gain or minimize the capital gain taxes. So that's the conversation we have. So you can see selling business is also a microeconomic activities in today's anxiety high economic environment. And keep cash on hand, do not spend. So that's a sentiment. That's a sentiment I got from a lot of business owners. They have cash on hand, but they don't feel safe to spend it. They want to leave that under the mattress just in case they have to run. And though, of course, sometimes, you want to say that, don't do that. It's not going to get that bad. But on the other hand, how do you know it is not going to get that bad? You don't have insider information and you don't know where we are going, right? And if we're going on the path of Second World War and those Jewish business people, they didn't know they're going to end up in the concentration camp. If you told them that, if you don't sell your business right now, you're going to be ending up in a concentration camp and a big gas chamber, then you're going to die, and then everybody would be going. Obviously, that was not something they know, so they ended up there, right? So it's not something whether you should keep cash on hand, but this is a general sentiment, even with a larger business we have, and they are not spending. They're not using their cash, they're watching. And Warren Buffett put cash on the side 3 months ago. Okay, so that's where that is. So if you have a cash and don't need to invest, there is no good deals out there for you to catch right now. All the deals are just deals, and because you don't know what is good or bad and giving the future. So keep cash on hand is one high sentiment in the business community. So if you are a small business owner, you have 10,000, 5,000, don't try to buy a land, a property, and with your little dollars and borrow so much money. No, you just keep that cash with you and wait until the time is better. And if the time is better, I will be on here, talk to you again. Reduce high interest debt. If you borrow all over the place, try to consolidate your debt and really reduce the high interest debt and give yourself more cash flow. And that is something I have been doing last week for a couple of businesses and finding lenders who can consolidate and to make the debt situation better. Preparing for filing bankruptcy. Yes, we have clients and we're already working with the attorney and getting bankruptcy filed, bankruptcy chapter 7, chapter 11. So these are people and the business just went down and couldn't hold the business anymore. So this is economic activities that we are experiencing here at this level. And a business joint venture with overseas supplier to combat tariff tax, reduce the value. So what I'm saying here is that we have seen the trend. We have dealt with business owners and who are setting up a distribution center or manufacturing here in U.S. and importing to U.S. no longer the finished goods but the materials. So that way it is the value of the importing is lower, so the tariff tax will be lower, right? But once they arrive here in U.S., they put it together, they distribute to the customers they used to have. So that has been a growing trend I see, not from one country, from several countries. So I want you to crank your thinking, see whether you are maybe needing to do that as well. So that would be a good opportunities, and I can see that works. That would combat the tariff tax. Invest in overseas properties. There's growing interest for our small business owners, especially a lot of our small business owners are actually first generation of immigrant. That means they actually have a tie to a foreign country. Like myself, I'm from Canada, so I'm tied to Canada, right? So we know Canada really well, and I am interested in their election on April 28th. when I do my webinar next time, I'll tell you who they elected. So they also are battling between the Harris and the Trump kind of difference. They're liberals and they're conservatives. So we'll see how which party wins in Canada. It'll be interesting to watch. And then the overseas properties like Canadian properties or Mexico properties or even China properties. So these overseas properties, the business owners can think of buying. And if you speak that language, you're familiar with that country, and that is a good way to diversify your risk. So instead of tying everything in U.S. and you have international portfolios that to deal with. It is always better when you can diversify risk, right? Risk diversification, not just I have a restaurant, I open up a CPA firm. That's a diversification, but you also can diversify between the currencies, right? So do you know that U.S. currency to Canadian currency, and before maybe I want to think less than 15 years ago, they were 1-to-1. $1 equals to $1 Canadian. Right now is $1 US equal $1 US. Let me put it the other way. So $1 Canadian is actually only worth of 60 cents of US. So right now it's like that. So if imagine that if you spend US dollar in Canada and you got a 40% discount right there. So, those are the currency differences, right? You can take advantage of that. So just make sure that that is a macro trend I see for people investing overseas. And invest in IT infrastructure, that's another trend, really strong. That's why IT companies are not facing very much of setbacks right now because, for example, that cost of goods sold, the first one I was talking about, to really know how to adjust your daily price, you need to have a good inventory system. To have a good inventory system, you need to have a good IT application that you use or IT infrastructure that are able to hold these applications. So with that, people are investing in technology to be able to do that daily price change. So in fact, that's one of the topics we talk to our client. Let's just get a consultation service with the IT side of things, how to give you a very robust and easy to use inventory control system that tied into your cash register. So those are IT infrastructure. That's a trend. Everybody is trying to make work more efficient and make labor demand less, so you don't have to worry about all these people get deported. We don't have a workforce here, so it would be okay to have machine doing it. Work in business instead of on the business. So this is what I say to our client. So some of our clients are running their business pretty well. They have always been working on the business, so they look at the big picture. They get involved in where they need. But with a recession, depression, and a big meltdown like this, I ask my business owners, people like myself who are CEOs and CFOs, to work in the business, which means that you really are going to sit down with your receptionist and to look at the emails that she gets, what kind of requests are coming in. You really are going to your inventory warehouse to talk to the warehouse people to see whether things are being laid out right. Try to find ways to be efficient within. When you ended up not making same amount of sales, you want to reduce your expense so your profit is still going up, right? And the 11th point is forming collaborations across the business lines. This is why you are here. When you are in business and you are running your business, but you don't really have immediate knowledge of what other people do, if you join Community CPA YouTube channel, we talk about so many clients. We know that here, when we say to you that other people are doing this, people are doing that, that will give you a little dose of confidence. You kind of know that, oh yeah, I was doing the same thing. I was thinking about the same thing. So you're not alone. And you want to collaborate with these business lines, like you want to form a better relationship with your CPA firm, always know what they think about your business. You want to form alliance with your trade association and getting to know what your trade association doing for you. At this time, community is so needed. You really need to form your own little group to discuss about how to run your business. And sell out your losing stocks. I mean, if that gives you anxiety and you just keep losing, then you sell it out and try to harvest your loss, which means that if you have other capital gains, you have the capital loss, then you don't pay taxes on there, right? So right now, this year, if you had capital gain, and I want you to look at your stock performance and sell out your stock, the one that lose money, so offset your gains. So that's what people are doing as well. And more mark-to-market elections are coming through the pipeline for 2025. You have to submit election now before April 15 to become a day trader, use mark-to-market method for year 2025. If you believe that 2025 is a bear market, and then you should, if you trade so much, you should elect mark-to-market. You can watch our YouTube training, videos that we produced on the mark-to-market. A lot of folks know us from these videos. So you want to learn that, understand what you're doing, and maybe do that election. More state level audit is coming up. Yes. You know how the government is cutting, federal government is cutting the state. And, I don't know true or not true, but, on the social media sounded like if you say no to President Trump and he can just not write a check to you. So the state government is kind of on their toes, right? They may not get the funding. But if they don't get the funding, they still have all the people they hired, especially those people who works in the state. They're just your neighbors, right? If they lose jobs, like how the Dodge fired all the people at the federal level, and that would really impact the local economy. So the state is trying to stay afloat. The way they do that, they will do more audit. They audit businesses. The business owners are their target to get more revenue out of. So to get more audit coming through, that means you got a higher chance to be audited. So folks, you are a small business owner, you can't afford to be audited and to come up with so many millions that you owe to the government. So make sure that you're doing it right. At the most difficult time like today, like right now, I would encourage our business people to do their book right. Just don't let the government come to you and it goes, you're doing it all wrong and you owe me $200,000. You don't have it. I know my business owner don't have it. I have a business owner and it was, operating a nail salon. And the nail salon has nail technicians. They rent the chairs and they do the work. So the state come around wanting the whole contractor payment, the payment that they give to the contractor as a rent. Because if it is rent, the state can charge rent sales tax. It just mind-boggling to me why that would even become assessment. But just to say, that's what the state are going to do. That's what small businesses are going to face. So it is not surprising. It is the movement that coming through as a natural result. Of course, increasing DOL audit, Department of Labor. Department of Labor audit is for the Fair Labor Act, right? So they want you to pay everybody fair, regardless of their nationality, regardless of their legal or illegal, all kind of things. But nowadays, it's not like that. And if you're audited by DOL, and you have people who are working without work permit, they're illegal or non-documented immigrants, then you will be referred to INS and they can be deported easily. And they are, the deportation did not stop. So really, the DOL audit is not just about fair labors. They're also the watchdogs for INS. So you want to know that these are coming on the pipeline, and the business owners, our small business owners, you are so vulnerable and you really want to make sure that you're doing everything right. That's all I can tell you. I will tell you that if you do everything right, and even if you get audited, and you're not worried. But if you don't do it right, and you're walking on wires, just hoping the DOL don't show up, hoping the state doesn't knock your door. I mean, I don't know in this economic environment whether that's gonna really make you have a good sleep, because the reality is the state needs more money. The reality is the reinforcement on the non-documented immigrants are just a big deal. And with that said, those are activities happen at our level, macroeconomic activities. So with that, what do you think? It's quite a bit, right? But that's our daily life. So make sure that you know you're not special. You're just one of the small businesses are experiencing all of these 15 symptoms, but making sure that you do your own housekeeping and getting to make sure that you are good, right? You will pass, you will get through, you will survive. And I have 3 case studies I want to quickly mention because I want to give you a lesson learned and a dose of confidence, knowing that things doesn't last forever by our history understanding. So the case study on Great Depression, that is from 1929 to 1939. That's 10 years. But the real hard time was actually in 1932. So it is just from the 1930, when the trade war started, to the 1932. That was the time that people are starving, but milk was poured into the sea. But what we learned from the Great Depression is that there's still business coming out successful. For example, Hy-Vee. Hy-Vee is a grocery store, and it started in 1930 as a small local grocery store with a super good customer service. Look at today. They are a employee-owned grocery store in the Midwest area, over 238 stores. So with that said, you see people are still coming out of these times. As long as human existed, business will stay. Make sense? So that is the confidence you should have. And what lesson learned in this depression time is business that were well integrated into their local community often receive support from local community, and they survive, like Hy-Vee. So now, look at your business. If you're already saturated in the local community, making sure you bring more warmth to them, you really want to support that community, and even that means you give a special smile to everyone come to your store, that would still make you survive, because the local community are the one coming to buy food, buy things from you every day. So that's one case study I want to give you. The other one is dot-com bubbles. That's from 2000 to 2002, right? So the market dropped, the bubble busted, and everybody losing money for a short time. The lesson learned is focus on fundamentals and avoid speculative investment. Just don't go for fancy strategies. I have seen from my client, they spend so much money hire this attorney. I'm not saying all attorneys are like that, but this particular one would structure their taxes from moon to the Mars, from Mars to Earth. I mean, giving so many, questionable, speculative investment options in foreign country, some districts, areas that I couldn't even remember the foreign name of it. It's just not necessary. We are small business owners. We don't need to go outside of our comfort zone. If you are from Mexico, and you can invest in Mexico and the US. And if you are from China, US. You don't have to be from China and try to invest in Mexico, or from Mexico try to invest in China. So you don't need to be so globally charged, putting your $5 everywhere. No, there's no need for that. There are good strategies you can have just locally here in US. Diversification is recommended, but don't have to go overboard. So making sure that those dot-com bubble busted also because there's so many very questionable investment in there. They're just a one office with not even a full-time secretary sitting in there, but they gathered some $10 million on investment, then busted out in one day, and there's nothing left. That is where the money was lost. So don't go fancy and just do what you know. If you don't understand AI, forget about AI. If you just understand food, then just invest in food. That's all. All right, global financial crisis, that's 2008 to 2009. That was the subprime market went busted, right? Lesson learned for that is to maintaining a diversified portfolio, focus on long-term goals. And that can really weather the storm. So right now, this is a good advice for today. And weather the storms. Right now, we are in the severe earthquake, okay? A little bigger than just storms. But we want to focus on long-term goals. But you may say that, well, Ying, what do you mean by long-term goals? I don't know which company going to stay long-term. Is Tesla going to survive or not? I don't know about that either. But I know the product in Procter & Gamble going to stay. And I know those food items going to stay, consumer item going to stay. As long as humans existed and we use detergent, we survive. We have basic things that we all need, right? So those are the things and project to be long term. And we all need a cell phone no matter what. So that's long term. So if Apple stock going bad and going down, maybe it is not time to sell. I don't think Apple stock it is unsafe, but I do feel like Tesla got so much politics in there. I'm not sure about that politics part would help. So with that, Tesla is in a different category. It is contaminated political stock. It is not a proper business stock. So for that reason, I don't have ability to project. But for businesses, you can always look at long term, knowing that yes, they drop, but you don't have to rush to clean out your stock. You can stay on. Government interventions are generally not reliable for small businesses. I say that. I know a lot of small businesses are going, oh, I want the government to help me. No, you don't. I'll tell you why. Because if you get government to pay you for service, do you know how quickly they pay you? They pay you after you went bankruptcy because they're so slow. And you provide all the services and you have all the workers working and you have to pay payroll, but then the government payment is not coming in for God knows when, right? And I'm not saying this because I dreamed it up. I say this because I have a client who had a government contract and was never get paid on time, so they went down. That's a reality. All right? So government contract and government interventions are, in my world, is always viewed as a negative. Of course, if you have a lot of cash flow, you can sit around and wait for the government to pay you one day, and that's good. That's actually doable. But a lot of our small business, we use cash today, we wait for cash to come in tomorrow, so we live paycheck by paycheck. If you are that kind of small business and you're small and your cash flow is an issue, then government interventions, government support, let's not do that. And you want to survive with your community. With that, other business strategy to consider. When you do not make more money, find ways to save more taxes. All right? So President Trump promised to reduce taxes for business people. Of course, the billionaires, his 13 good buddies, they are making the most money, but that benefit is still trickling down to the layers. So the small business still benefit from it. It's not like small business don't get any benefits. So you want to make sure that if you don't make more money, you want to save more taxes. And the strategic tax planning. Build new tax structure to reduce your tax liability. Reconsider who is your tax preparer, who is your tax service, tax consultant. If you're working with big fours, CPA firms, change to Community CPA. We don't charge like how they charge, but our brain is better than those partners you work with. Because the big four, you still rely on a partner. You rely on that partner and the people who work under that partner. Unless you tell me that you work with one of the partner in the big four, then maybe you should stay on. Otherwise, if you just work with their employees, they're not as good as ours. So I think you should come to Community CPA. Change service provider and get new perspective to do your business. Timing your income and expenses strategically and help you reduce tax liability. And I know it is just a sentence, but it means so much when you apply the techniques. Utilize all the tax cut for the rich, okay? So you can utilize that as a small business owner. Apply inventory write-off, asset revaluation, depreciation analysis, reduce, delay paying taxes. And these are survival tips for our business owners. All right, that is for today. And here is our partners list. You can book our time. And I charge $355 for a session. And you can come to me and we can talk about what I think you should do. And I'll give you my sincere, all of my knowledge to you. And when you are with me. And here is our YouTube channel, and you can find the past webinars to learn from what we talked about. I hope that you thrive in the difficult time. And I want to hear success stories. I want every dose of positive to come into our life. And what I give you today is all positive because I know you'll make it. All right. Here is our phone number, our operating hours, 6 days a week, 8:30 to 5:30. And Catherine at communitycpa.com to take your input, and we will keep on going. I'll see you on Saturday. We will talk about cryptocurrency on Saturday, and I plan to have that Saturday 1 hour to talk to you about where you can get to purchase cryptocurrency, and once you bought it, how you would invest cryptocurrency. I'm not a financial planner, by the way. I make a disclaimer. I'm not. What I give you is only what I do and also what our clients were doing, just collective knowledge to just break the myth of cryptocurrency, then how that might be utilized by the new presidency, White House. So with that, I just want our folks to not turn your head around from the cryptocurrency. Let's take a look at that and see maybe that is where the uptick will happen and with the investment. So we will talk about that on Saturday. All right.